Hello and welcome to another episode of the Thought Leadership Podcast and live show, where we interview the most incredible leaders in the industry of thought leadership. And today I'm so happy to be here today with Danielle Tucker, the professional speaker website founder. Thank you for coming on the show, Danielle.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today.
Oh, me too. And I am so grateful because when it comes to websites, there are so many things that we can say about website. And sometimes there's a feeling of how do I even start? So for me to have this conversation, and I know the value this gonna bring to our listeners, to our audience, I just want to start with thanking you for bringing your expertise to the table so we can dive right into this topic. So before we start, would you like to introduce yourself a bit more and say what does professional speaker websites do? What do you do?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone who's listening. My name is Danielle Tucker, and what I do is I strategically design luxury websites and branding materials for speakers and entrepreneurs who are looking to elevate their personal brand in order to get booked and highly paid within the speaking industry. So I firmly believe that when you intentionally elevate your visual brand and your personal branding strategy, you greatly increase your potential to expand your thought leadership, to attract more of your right fit clients, and to really stake your claim as a leading expert within the speaking industry. So I'm so excited for our conversation today because Daria, I know that is what you are all about, is building thought leadership and empowering people to feel confident and to stand out as the leaders that they are. So today is just going to be filled with so much gold.
Amazing, amazing, Daniel. So let's talk about the website. Why is it that a website is so important for a speaker?
Yes. So I always love to describe a speaker website as your number one sales tool. Really done correctly, it can function as like your salesperson within your business without you having to put all of your hands into everything, and really gives you that trust and that groundedness to know that you can inform, you can nurture, and you can guide the right people to take the necessary steps to book and hire you as a speaker. So oftentimes when in the speaking industry, for speakers who are serious about booking highly paid opportunities, if you were to pitch for an opportunity, what is one of the main questions that they ask you on that application? What is your speaker website?
Yes.
And if you don't have a website that you can provide, or if you have a website that you just aren't proud of, oftentimes that can really impact the results that you might see whenever you are pitching for different opportunities. So having a website that you feel is aligned with you and your speaking style, and that you're not scared to share with people, but you actually feel confident to share with others, is such an important part of making sure that you have a successful speaking business as a whole.
Amazing. And as you say, it's something to be proud of because as you are going to apply, for the ones listening and watching, you are going to apply to podcasts and to conferences and summits and different opportunities. And the number one question is always, can you share your links? And if you are feeling one part of yourself that you're not proud of your online brand, your speaker brand, there's going to be a feeling of, I'm sending this out, but not completely sure. Whereas if you have a speaker brand, we talk always about that, being proud of your bio, being proud of your speaker, profiles, social media, but also the website, feeling that I got everything in my favor. I used my best cards will make you also feel more confident to apply for those bigger stages. But my question here is that if you are committed to the speaking and you are doing it and you don't have a speaker website yet, when is a good time to start? Is it when you are transitioning into new level? Is there something that you will say it's like when you are getting to this stage in your speaking, this is the moment to really start working on that?
Yes, this is a great question. So I would say for anyone who is a seasoned speaker or maybe transitioning into more of that seasoned speaker role, uh, a few signs to look for that will let you know that you are ready to have a more advanced strategy with your website are having more confidence in regards to the audience that you're speaking to. So oftentimes when you're in like the beginner speaking phase, it's really a discovery process, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of finding your unique message, your unique positioning within the industry. But as you start to get to the point where you feel a lot more confident, you're seeing more consistency with the type of engagements that you're booking, you're finding your flow with the speaking fees that you have, and you're really finding your unique place within the industry, that is a really solid sign that it's very important to start communicating that information through a website that represents you as the professional that you are. Because over time, as you gain more experience, as you feel more comfortable in the industry, and as you get to a point to where you can command a more premium price for the expertise that you share, you want to make sure that the visuals that you have accurately communicate the value that you're providing from the level of speaking that you have. It's so important because in the speaking industry, it's also very interesting too, because speaking is such a vocal thing. Like, we don't necessarily think of the visual part also being connected to like the storytelling and the messaging and like the experience of it all. But when you have the visuals that really show you as the expert that you are, it really paints a picture in someone's mind of what it will be like when they do say yes to booking you to speak. And so that's what I would say is the most important thing, is to really consider, as a seasoned speaker, as someone who's ready to take it to the next level, think about how your visuals and your website are working for you to command that premium price point and really showcase the value that you provide.
Such a great point, that we often focus so much on the voice and the vocal and the actual storytelling, like you mentioned, but the visual, if it's almost like you have upgraded as a speaker, you've upgraded one part of yourself, which is the voice, your messaging, your thought leadership. And then, of course, if you want to upgrade the rest, the visual will be very present in everything you do. And I also like that you mentioned about the maturity of your message. As you get, we talk about thought leadership, that the maturity of your IP, of your frameworks, of your signature talks, you already feel that you know who you are, you know what you stand for, your message, that's something that you can commit to in upcoming 1 to 2, 3 years. Then adding a speaking website to that will allow you to kind of also have something that is going to stay for longer, that you don't have to tweak over and over again. So that is a really great point. So you mentioned about paid speaking engagement, and I would like to talk a bit about the non-paid part as well. So let's say that someone is using speaking to leverage that for their business. They might be paid, but that the paid part for them in the speaking might not be very big if you compare with the actual, the back end that they are able to create as a coach, a consultant, or even an author, let's say. So how would you say that they can approach it differently than a paid speaker website that would be like someone who's completely focusing on the paid speaking part?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. And I always love to explain to people that speaking is used in a number of different ways. We have exactly what you said. There's the paid speaking opportunities, which is essentially speaking as your service, like you are being paid to speak. And then there's using speaking as a strategy within your marketing to fuel the other parts of your business, such as like coaching programs or working as a consultant, and using that as a lead generating process into other parts of your business. And so how I would answer that question in regards to your website is what I call your credibility boosters. So if you are looking at speaking as a strategy within your business to generate more leads and more conversations with people who are your right fit clients that you want to work with, think of how you can showcase and highlight your expertise through the experience that you have on your website. So a really great way to do this is to include credibility logos on your website. So maybe you've been featured to speak on a podcast, or maybe you've had some previous experience doing a workshop in someone's community. Maybe that was a free speaking opportunity. You weren't necessarily paid for that, but featuring those different events on your website is a really great way to show those who are on your website and viewing that you've had experience in the specific niche that you're in. Like, you are an expert in this and you've had experience speaking and sharing with others. And so when you can take that experience and communicate it on your website, it's a really great way to show that you are an expert. And it also helps to build trust with people so that they can see, oh wow, like she spoke for them. Okay, that's real amazing. Let me go listen to that episode, or let me check out more about this workshop that this individual did. So that's what I would say is really thinking about these speaking opportunities, the free speaking opportunities, as ways to express the experience that you've had, and use that on your website to really show people the value that you've been able to provide in those different ways.
Amazing. Yeah. So the credibility, and even if you are, let's say that you are speaking, but not primarily focusing on that, adding what you already done and just already honoring and saying, wow, I already done all these things. So let's just put that in the forefront. All the podcasts I've done, you, for the ones listening, watching, I'm sure that there are a lot of things that you have done that you say, well, that one thing that wasn't so big, but it does matter because it add up when you've done all these podcasts and all these, TEDx talks and different things that you have done. It's amazing, and let the world see and let yourself shine with your beautiful website. And I love to hear about a topic that I think will be really valuable for our listeners when they are thinking about having their speaker website up and running. When it comes to, we call it speaker assets in our academy. Speaker assets are, let's say that your updated bio, your updated cover images or footage of yourself or speaker reels. Those are the speaker assets. What kind of speaker asset would you say is great to have already kind of ready when someone comes to you to work with you, so they get the most out of the collaboration with building out their speaker websites?
Yes. So one of the main things that I would say is having a clear core value proposition. So for anyone who's not familiar what that term is, it's basically can be compared to like a one-liner where you express who you are, what you do, who you serve, and what outcomes you help your audience to achieve. So for example, I empower X individual to overcome X challenge in order to receive X result. So when you have that one statement, I guess usually you could like summarize it from like your speaker bio, or like more in-depth understanding of what you specifically do within your industry. But that one statement is crucial because that is what I recommend for anyone to have at the very top of their homepage. So the reason why I say this is because the main goal of your website is the more people that you get on there and the longer that you get them to stay there, the higher the probability of them making a decision to hire and book you to speak. So this is like a scientifically proven fact. The longer that someone's on your website, the higher the potential that they are going to make that decision to learn more about how they can work with you. And so for anyone who is thinking about, okay, like what do I need to have on my website? Having that core value proposition is one really important thing that I highly recommend for everyone to clarify. And when you are ready, make sure that you have that available so that it can be added to your website.
Amazing. So the one liner, and then I guess headshots and updated images of themselves. Would you say that they have to have images of themselves speaking on stage, or what would you ask them to?
Yes. Imagery is also very important. So I recommend that speakers have a variation of branded photos. So this could be like you have a photo shoot with a photographer, you get some photos taken, you look professional. And then the other type of photos is having event photos. So if you have had an opportunity to speak in person, to engage with an audience, it's really important that you have a photographer who knows how to take photos of you speaking, but also can take photos of you engaging with audience members. So maybe you have a breakout moment within your speaking opportunity, or maybe it shows you using some props or engaging with people, seeing people's faces, things like that. So being able to use those type of images on your website is also very, very important, because it shows your personality for one, and it shows that you are really you have experience with engaging with people in a number of different ways.
Yeah, amazing. And the question I have is about speaker reels because it might feel sometimes for someone who is, let's say, coming more from thought leadership, coaching, consulting, and haven't had so many experience that they have created speaker reel, and they might feel a bit of a feeling like, well, I don't have it. I have images, I have, podcast episodes and other things that they have done, but they don't have this professional speaker reel. Would you say that it's better to start building that first before doing a website or a professional speaker website, or what comes first if they have to choose, or do they need both at the same time?
This is such a great question. And honestly, I've seen people wait to build up, and I have seen people take matters into their own hands and create content to have in the meantime, leading up to having more materials that they felt more aligned with their brand. So, for example, one really easy example that I would give is having a black poster board, putting it behind you, and recording yourself giving maybe like a 1 minute brief. It wouldn't necessarily be like a long presentation, but just like a 1 minute snippet of you speaking as if you were speaking to an audience. So I have seen individuals do that, and that was a really great solution to serve them for where they were at that moment.
Yeah.
And also consider a lot of companies and organizations are really enjoying and appreciating virtual and hybrid opportunities. So being willing to build your own stage by going live on social media, doing a partnership broadcasts with people, and the more you have that content, you can use that to put into a speaker reel for yourself whenever you do have more of that content put together. So there's definitely things that you can do in the meantime to kind of build that footage that you have and just the content that you will have available for a video. And so I just encourage anyone who, no matter where you are, if you find that you're in a place to where, oh, I don't have that much right now, like, what do I do? Like, just take a moment, breathe, and figure out what you can do in this moment in order to, take that best next step to get to where you want to be.
I love that. And that's an amazing approach for not getting stuck in this perfectionism and procrastination, because it might feel intimidating. And that's what we want to take away with this episode as well, is feeling of, but I don't have a speaker reel, or I don't have this beautiful photo. That you actually can create what you have already and put the video there, that is might be some podcast, or it might be something else, or record yourself. And as you grow with your speaker website and your speaker brand, your speaker experience, you'll be able to update it as you go. The same with logos. If we start and say, well, I have a couple of logos but I don't have so many, it doesn't really matter, because you already created the base. You already have the base with what you already have, and you can go from there. And that's a really great approach. So my last question for today is really, if there's any mistakes that you see often in the industry when it comes to speaker website, is there something that there is a big no-go that you would say that if you're doing this maybe we can change that up a bit? Is there something we can say about that?
Yes. So I would say the number one biggest mistake that I see is speakers putting a website up or doing something with their visual presence just because they see someone else doing it, without realizing that you have to have a clear goal in place for an effective website strategy. So the best way that I could clarify this is that everyone's website is different, because everyone's business is different, everyone's strategy is different. No two speakers are exactly alike. And oftentimes when we see websites, we may see the front. It might look amazing. It might look really beautiful. This person has a lot of experience. They've done all of this. But we forget that there's actually a lot more going on the back side of things that we don't necessarily see. And so if you do not first have a clear goal in mind of how you want your website to work for you, from which you can then work backwards from point A to point B to point C, in order to lead people effectively through your website, you might find that you have maybe a beautiful looking website, but it's not working effectively for you. And here we are all about making sure that we make money. and we are of the highest service to our people who are coming to our website, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure that you, by having a clear goal in mind of how you want your website to function for you, what actions you want people to take on your website, that gives you a reference point to then think, okay, if this is where someone is entering the website, how can we take them from point A to point B to point C, to taking that clear end action in order to meet a specific goal? And so if you can clarify that, then you are one step closer than a lot of other people who just haven't taken the time to set a clear goal for their site. And it's just really important that when you do that, you will ultimately set your website up to be a lot more successful in the long run.
Amazing. Danielle, you're such a great expert on these topics, and I love that we can go right into deep questions on specificities for the speaker website industry and how our listeners and our audience can actually take the next steps, because it is with clear goals and action and progress that we can improve our speaker brand. I have been a speaker since 2016, and almost every month I am improving and tweaking my visual speaker brand, because there's so much happening on the back end. Like you say, as the business grow, as the vision grow, as our impact grows, our social media and our websites and all our branding has to follow, has to be in alignments that actually shows what's happening on the back end, what's happening behind the scenes, so that it's all in coherence with where we actually are in our business. So I love that you make it so simple and so clear. And I do know from having checked a bit on your website that you have some great resources, some to start with. Would you like to share something with our audience today? We can put in the comment in description after as well, to get started.
Yes, of course. I have a few resources that I want to share. The first is a speaker website checklist. So for anyone who is at a point where you're like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to include? Where do I need to start? I created the speaker website checklist to help give you a first starting point of reference as you are preparing for a speaker website project. So I'll go ahead and share the link with you, and you'll be able to share it with everyone in the show notes. But for anyone who wants to learn how they can take that first step, I highly recommend the speaker website checklist.
Amazing, Daniel. We'll make sure to put that in the YouTube video as well as in the podcast episodes. You'll be able to download that and check it out. And for you who are listening and watching this episode, do make sure to comment below, and why not share your own speaker website so other people can discover it and discover what you speak on. Danielle, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time and giving all these valuable tips and advice on how we can improve our websites.
Yes, and thank you so much. I just wanted to say also, it's been such a pleasure. So wonderful having this conversation. And one more thing, if there's anyone who's ever curious about learning more about speaker websites or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. You can find me at professionalspeakerwebsites.com, and it would be such a pleasure to assist you with elevating your speaker website. So thank you so much, Daria, for having me. This was such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Danielle. For sure, we will put all this in the show notes below, that you can do check out the website that Danielle has, which is amazing, by the way, of course, and all her social media, and do connect, because this is how we can grow your speaker brand together. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, everyone. And until next time, have a beautiful day.